Developing employees' hidden talents is critical for business success, but it's easier said than done. Why is it so difficult for employers to identify and nurture skills?
The bottom line is we don't really know who our workers are. We don't really know the human side of who they are. That data around what drives them and energizes them, what drains them, is often hidden. And so we change that with Plum by actually quantifying people's innate talents so that we can help manage them based on who they are. So when a customer is using our Plum platform, we're helping them quantify the innate talents of their employees. So employees complete a 25-minute assessment, and it tests for their problem-solving ability, their personality priorities, and their social intelligence. And from that, we can measure their levels of innovation, communication, persuasion, teamwork, and really understand what energizes them and where they would thrive, and what drains them in areas that really would deplete them over time.
But how do you actually go about identifying these soft skills? Because typically they're very subjective.
So it's all based on industrial organizational psychology. We're really democratizing access to this highly predictive data. And what's most important is really understanding what are the behaviors that the person has to do in the role that they're going to be in. It's quantifying the behaviors of that job that is kind of the secret sauce that's been missing in the industry. Now we have a way of scaling across the whole company to measure every behavior that's needed for every job and understanding the behavioral priorities of every employee. The data that we're collecting is called psychometric data, and typically it'd be used on directors and above, and consultants would come in. It'd be very expensive, so it wouldn't scale beyond that top 10%. Or we're seeing in pre-employment assessments like call centers, big groups of the bottom 20% of the workforce you may have psychometric data for. But that middle 70%, that messy middle, has next to no psychometric data whatsoever. And so with Plum, we can take incredibly accurate measurements of people's innate talents, but allow that to scale for 100% of the organization. And what happens is we're unlocking brand new use cases that the industry's really never seen. Like, how do you have employees be the CEOs of their own career development? Well, when you unlock their potential and show them brand new career opportunities that have nothing to do with what they've done in the past, but just unlocking their potential, you end up having employee-driven internal mobility.
So how do you ensure the accuracy? Because there's so much data that's being collected and sifted through to find these outcomes.
There's a lot of competitors in the space that are looking at passive data. So they're looking at pattern recognition. And a lot of the times they're looking at where somebody went to school and where they previously worked. With Plum, because we're looking at the psychometric data, it's actually 4 times more accurate than the data you'd collect from a resume. And we're not looking at just reinforcing past patterns. If somebody is a BDR, now they're promoted to be an account executive, and now they're a people leader. We're looking at people's priorities and innate talents that don't change over time. And we accurately measure them based on using psychometric practices. The entire field of industrial organizational psychology has decades of perfecting how to accurately measure this. And what's great is that we've been able to maintain that accuracy, but use technology to scale it without falling into poor quality data problems.
So speaking of data, there's so much data. How do you ensure that bias doesn't seep its way into the data that's being collected?
We're able to eliminate bias because we're looking at people's transferability. We're not looking at what they've done in the past, so we're not judging them based on where they went to school or where they previously worked. We're looking at really unlocking the potential.
What sort of benefits have you found in being here in Silicon Valley when it comes to growing your company?
When it comes to fundraising, there is almost like a hidden template of what is needed in order to succeed. And the more you can understand the template and how you fit into it, the more you can speed up your cycles of the learning curve of failures and successes. And so I went through my own process without the help and guidance and got an enormous amount of no's before I got my yes. And so being here really shortens that learning curve and gives you the goalposts and the support and an amazing network of people that can advocate for you. I met with a VC fund today that was more later stage than where we are at, but immediately they thought of, oh, but you need to talk to this person, and made that intro right away.